these things that to me have embodied the superhuman CEO version of my life and of what I'm doing have come from an energy shift. They've come from an identity shift first and foremost. And so I want to share just a little bit of daily flow of what does it look like. I get a lot of questions on this about how do I set up a morning routine? How do I set up rituals that will help support me in achieving my goals? What I now understand is that it's not so much about the things that you are doing as the state that they put you in. Welcome to the Superhuman Selling Podcast. I have a question for you today. What if your next level was not about doing more, but about becoming more? We are breaking down today exactly how to embody your superhuman CEO identity from morning to night so that your results will catch up with the version of you you are already becoming. I am excited for today's topic. And one thing that I will say that has been really fun is in our community, we have been rolling out what we are calling monthly community activation themes. And these are themes for both our internal clients as well as our larger community. So you as a listener count as our larger community, and you're a very valued part of our larger community. So for July, as I record this, we are about to host our annual event, Superhuman Selling Live. And the theme for July ties in with the event, and it's all about this is what superhuman looks like. And so today on the podcast, I wanted to talk about superhuman CEO identity, what that looks like, what that feels like. And this applies to you whether you are truly the CEO of your company, whether you are a founder, a solopreneur, whether you're working in corporate. I used to think that CEO had to look and feel a certain way. And I thought that it would mean one leader, probably in a very conservative suit, who is the head of a large company with lots of layers, lots of tiers, and that always felt very heavy and not appealing to me. And as I have had fun playing with stepping into this myself, as we have grown and scaled, and I've grown and scaled my vision for our company as well, I am a woman who leads a very cool, a very nimble, a very efficient, highly aligned team who wears bright pink suits and Louboutins and works while also taking care of my young kids and being a mom and caring about lifestyle. And to me, being the superhuman CEO of your life is so different than kind of the old stigma I used to have about what a CEO had to look and feel like. And it really does come down to embodiment, and it comes down to expectations. It comes down to what you expect for yourself, how you expect others to show up in your life, how you expect money to show up for you. So today I want to talk about how to embody that superhuman CEO version of you to tie in with the monthly theme, to tie in with everything that we're doing. And then I'll share some cool resources and ways that you can get plugged in deeper if you prefer. And as always, so grateful for you to rate, subscribe, review the show. We want to get this out to as many people as possible. I think this work really, really matters. And I think that it changes lives. And we appreciate you sharing it with your community as well. So, with that being said, let's talk about embodiment to start and why embodiment matters. And every level that you go to, you're going to get to embody a new version of you. There's going to be new traits that are asked to emerge. There are going to be new qualities that are being asked to emerge from you. And in fact, when you set a next level goal, maybe you want to have your first $1 million year this year, and maybe you've been doing six figures in your company for a while, for example. Well, it's going to require a different embodiment from you. It's going to require a different level of thinking, a different level of energetics, a different level of being willing to receive. And so the challenges that you encounter along the way are actually opportunities disguised as challenges. They are opportunities for you to grow and cultivate a new skill set, to develop a part of you that maybe hasn't been developed before. And so Michael Beckwith has this beautiful take on all of this. And what he shares is when you're in a challenge or something that feels like a challenging season, perhaps, one of the best questions you can ask yourself is, if this situation was to endure for a long time, if this was going to go on for a long time, what qualities would I need to develop in order to be able to navigate this with peace, with joy, with happiness? And whatever your answer is to those questions, those are the qualities that are being cultivated in you right now. And so I'll just share from personal experience and examples for us in our company as we are now scaling from 7 to 8 figures. We are in a season where we have changed and transformed so much in the company, everything from our technology to some of the team who's working with me as well. And there's nothing that was wrong with anything before. It's simply as you move to different levels, there's things that get to complete and there's new things and people who get to come in. And when you're in the season of kind of the in between, there's the analogy of every surgery looks like a murder in the middle of it. And so there have been, and not that is not my experience right now, but there have been a lot of things that have felt like, okay, we took this apart, we took that apart. Now we're rebuilding, we're moving over again our tech stack, we're bringing on new team members, and so there's been a lot that I've gotten to cultivate, a lot of qualities I've gotten to cultivate as we go, and certainly a higher sense of leadership and a higher expectation in terms of how we operate as a team, how money works for me, how technology works for me, and a lot of different things, the higher ability to be present, to be in flow. So those qualities that you would need to develop in order to endure, and not just endure, but actually to have a lot of joy, to have a lot of peace, to have a feeling of success, of gratitude. Those are the things that you are getting to practice embodying as you step into that next level. So, quantum leaping is absolutely not about hustle. A lot of people think I've got to hustle my way to the next level. No, if you are in hustle, you are automatically not quantum leaping. You are automatically staying stuck, staying stagnant, getting more of the same. Quantum leaping is about alignment. It's about who you are being way more than what you are doing. Neuroscience backs this, that 95 to 98% of your results are not about what are you doing every single day. It's about your belief systems. It's about your identity. It's about your self-concept. And that's part of why in my own life, the work that I do is about every day, what is the identity of the woman who leads at this level, the woman who has a magazine, the woman who has an office space on the waterfront, like all the things we're doing right now. Because at one point, not even too long ago, those things felt a little bit perhaps distant. They felt out of reach. And it's really fun, not out of reach. They just felt like they weren't here yet. Now, today, they are here. Now they are happening. How we are doing them. And there is a feeling to the woman who leads those things. There's an energy, there's a way of being, there's an identity, there's a self concept. So if you have listened to the show before, you've heard me say your results will never supersede your identity. And so I actually shared this I'll share a quick little story that I shared on I think it was our 10K club group call last week, that I had a fun experience looking at my vision board the other day. And in our curriculum, in our program, we teach a really cool vision boarding workshop that has helped a lot of clients quantum leap and have really fun results. And so I love vision boards. I love using them. Got to update mine now because some things have happened off of it, which is also fun. But I was sharing that I'm getting to take two things off my vision board that have been on there for some time. One of which was these are both things that I had put up a while ago. One, I think I put up in 2019, believe it or not. The other was maybe a year or so ago, but the one from 2019 was about the magazine. So we are launching a magazine as I talk about this. So stay tuned because I'll be sharing more about it on my social media, on the podcast. But I knew that I wanted to have a magazine for a long time. That was part of my desire. I was a journalism background. I love stories of transformation. I love highlighting other people, especially for me, highlighting other women, helping them see themselves in an incredible light. And so I knew that I wanted to launch our magazine for a while. But when I put that on the vision board in 2019, I had no idea. It felt so out of reach. It felt so big. And I've gotten to practice stepping into the identity of a woman who does that. And this has been one of the longer manifestations in my life but there were things that I wanted to put into place first. There were some things I wanted to do and prioritize first. And so it's okay because I believe in divine timing with that. But it was very meaningful to look at that picture that I had chosen that to me said, I think I called it media mogul, I am a woman who runs a magazine that empowers real women around the world. And to say, oh my gosh, it's here, it happened. Well, there was an identity that I got to practice stepping into with that. And then the actions naturally followed. The other thing was our office space that we're signing the lease on right now. It's this beautiful office space. It's on the water here in Portland, Maine. I shared about it on social media last week, but this was an office space that I saw actually in a dream before I ever saw it in real life. And that happened several years before we moved up to Maine. I saw this place in my mind. And then even before we moved to Maine, the year before, we were actively manifesting Jason getting into medical school at the University of New England. And so we booked a trip up here. He had no offer yet to come to school there. I think he was still studying and in the application process. But we knew that this was his number one school. We knew that if, when he was accepted, we would be moving the family up to Maine. And so we had connected with a realtor, a wonderful realtor here, and had booked sometimes to go look at homes with her again in the energy of we are manifesting our move up here. Shout out to Emily Cole with Sotheby's. If you're here in Maine, or if you're looking to move to Maine, connect with her. She's amazing. And we were up here touring and looking at homes, and we're walking on the main street here down in the city. And I see this space on my right, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been here before. I know this building. This was the building that I saw in my vision. And so we walk up and we're like peering in and poking around, and the building was, it was closed at the time. But I had this knowing of like, I've been here before. I've been here before. I know this. And so long story short, certainly Jason ended up getting into UNE and we moved our family up here. But we didn't have the office space at first. And so I put it on my vision board, a picture of the outside of this beautiful space with these boats right on the water. And it's been up on my vision board for probably about a year. And as I record this, we are signing the lease on it right now. And so all of that to say that these results, these things that to me have embodied the superhuman CEO version of my life and of what I'm doing have come from an energy shift. They've come from an identity shift first and foremost. And so I want to share just a little bit of daily flow of what does it look like. I get a lot of questions on this about how do I set up a morning routine? How do I set up rituals that will help support me in achieving my goals? And one of the things that I think is so important, I was working with a private client on this last week, and he was really wanting to set up like a solid morning routine for himself. What I shared with him is I used to do a morning routine to check the box to say I did it. And that's better than not doing it. I will say that. And what I now understand is that it's not so much about the things that you are doing as the state that they put you in. So the end result is actually what we're looking for here with this. We're not looking for, I meditated for 15 minutes. I journaled 5 gratitudes and 5 things to come. I, visualized my quantum leap, although those are all things that I typically do every day. What I care about though, and the most important thing is that whatever you are doing needs to put you in an energetic state of feeling like your future has already happened, feeling like it has already come, immense gratitude for, it could be really for nothing at all, just a state of gratitude because you recognize how beautiful life is. You recognize how blessed you are. You recognize how abundant you already are. And energetically, you're connected to your future. You're connected to what you're calling in. It's however you get there that actually matters. Now, with that being said, there are routines, there are things that can support you in your work. And so I will say, in terms of morning routines, I think there's a few things that really matter. And I am an avid, I love Joe Dispenza meditations. I do them. I used to do them every single morning religiously. I will say with she's 3 months old today. with a 3-month-old in the room with us, with a 2-year-old who's waking up at all sorts of crazy times, turning 2, and then, of course, we got our 5-year-old, almost 5-year-old. Um, Not every morning is perfect for that. It's really not. I'll be so candid and transparent. Some mornings I get it in. If I don't, depending on what is happening with the kids and how early they're up, I am very conscious to do whatever I can in that moment, in that morning, to meditate, to close my eyes, even if it's 5 minutes of connecting with my vision in my mind and lowering my brain waves. That is something that you will learn to do with practice with this work. You'll be able to feel when your brain waves shift from beta, which is thinking about the external environment, everything around you, down to alpha and below. So I can feel those shifts in my brain waves now, and I can get there pretty fast. It's been with a lot of practice and repetition. And from that place, I want to tune into, what am I calling in? What am I manifesting? What am I creating? At least 5 to 10 minutes, if not more. But I say all of that to say that my goal is always, for me personally, I like doing a Joe Dispenza meditation in the mornings. I find that those are the most powerful mornings. Do what works for you. It doesn't have to be my approach. The goal, again, is that you are rewiring your beliefs. You're using a modality, a methodology to rewire your beliefs to get into your subconscious mind, to see and feel your vision as if it's already done, and to feel differently. All right. Now, one other thing that I remember hearing Joe Dispenza talk about, I think this was in one of his recordings and this stuck with me, is people who say, I skipped my meditation today, or I didn't get to my meditation today. Can I still be successful, or can I still have results? And he said, well, what are you doing with the rest of your day with your eyes open? Who are you being the rest of your day with your eyes open? Eyes open, eyes shut. It's about who you're being. And that really stuck with me. And so this is where it's not enough to just sit on your meditation cushion and visualize and connect and embody, and then get up and go and react to the rest of your life the way the old version of you would have. You then use those new tools, you use those new beliefs, you use your 3D world to practice. How does this version of me show up in this moment? How does she respond? How does he act? What does she say? Because it's really about, who are you being with your eyes open or your eyes shut? And what choices are you making? What decisions are you making? How are you showing up for yourself, for others around you? Um, in all of your day, not just not just in the moments when you're meditating. So I say that because that's really important. And it's about, what choices are you going to make and who are you going to be today outside of the meditation, outside of the morning routine? Um, you can even think about, like, how am I getting dressed, right? We had a really great, actually, we've had Jessica Papineau, who is, she's my stylist. She's a wonderful, wonderful friend, business partner. We've had her on the podcast a couple of times. So you can go back and listen to one of her episodes. But what you wear has an energy. What you wear has a frequency. I'm going to share this on social soon, because I've been really having a lot of fun with just elevating my closet, elevating my space where I get dressed. And so every day as I get dressed, it's like, okay, who is the 8-figure CEO? How does she show up? How does she operate? How does she act? So those are really powerful tools. Another tool that I love is mirror work, which I thought was really hokey when I first heard about it. I think maybe Louise Hay was the first person when I heard about it. I thought, this stuff sounds crazy. This sounds weird and cheesy. It works. If you are finding that you need external validation from anyone else, you are not validating yourself enough. And mirror work is one of the most powerful ways to do that, to actually you look yourself in the eye and affirm yourself for how you showed up today. Affirm yourself for what you're calling in. Affirm yourself for who you are being, for the decisions you have made, to give yourself the love, the validation that you're seeking, maybe from clients, maybe from loved ones, maybe from partners. So that's really important. And then at night, before you go to bed, you've also got a really powerful window right before you fall asleep, where your brain waves are lower. And so use that time as you fall asleep to connect to, Neville Goddard called them end scenes. What is an end scene? That you would experience only from the end result being manifested. A champagne toast on a cruise ship, moving into the new home, checking your bank account balance and it's higher than ever, more zeros than ever before, right? See that end scene, feel into it, and fall asleep, letting your subconscious work on it all night long. All right. And then again, throughout the day, what choices are you making? And are you making decisions based on faith, based on your end result that you're calling in and that you have decided for yourself? Or are you making decisions based on present circumstances, which are old news, which are already moving out of your world unless you continue to emotionalize them and focus on them? How are you making choices? How are you making decisions? What are you saying yes to? And what are you releasing, which is no longer in alignment? So, this is a really important part of embodiment and embodying the superhuman CEO version and identity of you, which is all about how you're showing up in your 3D world, how you're acting in your 3D world, and making choices from the end result, not from present circumstance as well. So, with that, I want to give you just a couple of prompts that you can journal on, things you can speak to yourself about today, think about today. So, one of the things to ask yourself is, if I fully embodied my $1 million self today, my multi-million dollar self today, my $1 billion self today, I would blank. What would you do? What choice would you make? What decision would you make if you fully embodied that version of you? That's your first question, your first journal prompt. Okay. The second thing you can ask yourself, you can journal on, is, my energy is aligned with, and consciously align your energy with the end result that you're calling in. And then the third, I choose to show up as blank. On this call, I choose to show up as a multi-million dollar coach. In this podcast, I choose to show up as a New York Times bestselling author who has uh, clients or stages lined up around the world. Who do you choose to show up as? When you go to post on social media, what if you chose to show up as, now you may not like the word influencer, but think about that energy. When you post on social media, even if you don't have a lot of people following you right now by the world's standards, what if you showed up as someone who did? How would you post? How would you show up? How much fun would you have? How light would you be about it? How much energy and intention would you put into it? How much second guessing or self doubting would you release in the process of doing that? So, who do you choose to show up as today? I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I trust that it spoke to you. And so, with that, in closing, a couple of ways you can connect further. One, I would love if you wanted to share this episode on your social media. You can share it on Instagram stories, tag me at Elyse Archer so that I can see and reshare. Second, if you are listening to this in real time or watching the video in real time, we have a very cool free event coming up on July 29th at 11 a.m. Eastern, a webinar called Ease in Abundance with AI. I'm co-hosting this with one of my consultants, a very, very cool woman, Allison Lecussier. You can go to ai.elisearcher.com to get registered. It's completely free. But this is about how to implement AI in a feminine energy way that's going to allow you to scale and step into your superhuman CEO identity. Again, whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are in corporate. So that is going to be a really, really powerful opportunity. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can very likely get a replay of it on that page and it'll help you a lot. So have fun with that. And in closing, I want to thank you for being a listener and remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Remember that your desires are green lights leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.